Hello, everybody. This is Mike from the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. My wife Beth and I would like to invite you to join us each week as we examine life at the intersection of marriage, family, careers, and ministry. Through 28 years of ministry, 26 years of marriage, 23 years of professional careers, and 21 years of being parents to 3 kids, our fun and honest discussions promise to have something for everyone. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. This is Mike. And before we go any farther, I just want to ask you one thing. Please don't turn off this episode. I think this episode has potential to at least, be somewhat entertaining or informative. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. It may be 10 minutes. It could be an hour and 10 minutes. But I got some news for you. Beth is not here this week. So this will be the first ever solo Hey, Are You Still There podcast. Because when I ask, hey, are you still there? Nobody answers. Beth is not here this week. I'll tell you why in a second. But I'm going at it alone. First time in our 32 episodes, and I'm doing a solo show. So just bear with me. We'll see what happens. I want to update some things and maybe talk about some stuff you may or may not care about. But first, where is Beth? Beth is extremely busy this week. I'm recording this on a Friday morning. It will come out on Saturday morning as usual. But she just had a very busy week. She's involved with a lot of stuff. And one of the things that she's involved in a non-pay, total volunteer, but great time-consuming venture is she is on the Salem College alumni board. And not just on the board, she is the president of the Salem College alumni board. And so I like to tell her that puts her basically third in charge at the college. So you got the college president, then you got the head of the trustee committee or the board, and then you've got the head of the alumni board. So she's third in charge. So she has to be at a lot of stuff. And this weekend is Salem College's annual reunion weekend. So she had meetings all day for the past several days. She has them today. She has stuff tomorrow that she has to be at. And we just couldn't carve out time this week to do this. Sometimes we try to do one a little earlier during the day, but she was busy. I was busy, believe it or not. Our nights have been pretty busy this week. Monday night, I had improv, which I'll get into here in just a minute. Tuesday night, we went out with our friend Doug Bass. And Doug is a award-winning board game designer, great friend of ours. He has designed a brand new game, and he's so close to getting it published, put out on Kickstarter, that kind of thing. He made some last little bit of tweaks and wanted Beth and I to play it. So Tuesday night, Doug and Beth and Josh and myself met and played his game, just hoping that this was the final. And we all loved it. He's done such a great job. And we'll have Doug on the show at some point as it gets closer to the launch of his game. But so we did that Tuesday. Wednesday night, we had small group at our house. We have a group of about a dozen folks from our church that comes over on Wednesday nights. And we have small group with them. And then, like I said, Beth was busy. She's busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we just haven't had time to record. So Beth will be back next week. I promise. Maybe she'll probably say I need to give her a solo podcast, although I'm not to make it even, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's hard for her to even do the welcoming, like the opening. Sometimes she freezes with that. So I'm not sure, if she could do an entire podcast, but so be it. So that's it. That's where she's at. So we are still married. Everything is still going good. She's loving the podcast. I love the podcast. We love all the comments and feedback that we get every week. We don't really talk numbers on here, but the coolest thing I like is we have listeners right now in 20 different countries, which is pretty cool. That just shows you how small our world has gotten. That this random couple from this small town in North Carolina can have people listening to them literally all over the world. That's fun. That's fun to think of. So anyway, let's do some recaps. I brought up improv. I had my third improv class this past Monday night. Originally, that was all it was going to be. It was I think they call it improv crash course or something like that. It's done at the Idiot Box in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's right downtown, the Idiot Box. They do shows almost nightly, it feels like. And there's stuff going on, especially like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They do classes, like these improv classes. They do a stand-up class. They do open mics. They bring in comics that, are traveling through. It's pretty cool. I'd never heard of it until Beth found it and got me signed up for the improv classes for Christmas. And so it was something I had on my big 12 for turning 50. I don't even know why I even wanted to do it. I thought I would give it a try. So this was week number 3, which would have been the finale of my improv training. They do offer a second session. So kind of like an improv. If this is 101, it would be like 201, essentially. You get a little bit more into stuff and work on refining some skills. It's another 3-week class. And then at the end of that, you would have 6 classes under your belt and you put a show on and people can come and pay and watch you, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but our instructor said, look, if we have enough of you guys that want to take the 201, sign up, we'll do it for 3 more weeks and then we'll arrange a show. And everybody in there wanted to do it. One girl raised her hand and said, I'm interested. And I raised my hand. I said, I'll do it if everybody else wants to do it. And everybody else is like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And so there's, 7 of us in the class. So not counting the instructor. So there's 7 of us that have kind of formed our own little improv team. And we're not good, but we're a team. And we're getting to know each other and learning each other's strengths and weaknesses. At least I think we are. But I want to bring up the instructor. I had no idea who she was. I couldn't even remember her name after the first week. So the second week I had to be like, I'm sorry, what was your name again? And I didn't feel bad because she couldn't remember my name either. Her name's Jenny. And this past week she had on a Greensboro College lacrosse sweatshirt. And so our oldest son actually went to Greensboro College for his freshman year. He played football there and before he ended up transferring to another school. So I kind of brought that up. I was like, are you affiliated somehow with Greensboro? She told me her son plays lacrosse there. I told her about my son playing football and we had a little moment of connection. And so it was kind of cool to talk Greensboro College with somebody that's in the know. So then I came home that evening and thought, well, I'll look her up and just see, maybe we can be Facebook friends or something. Well, she never told us this, which I kind of like. She's actually the owner of the Idiot Box and she's on IMDb. Looks like she's had a pretty long comedy career and she's just very down to earth, unassuming. Like she didn't say, hey, I'm the owner of this and I'm going to be teaching y'all. She was just like, all right, let's do it. And so I really like that about her is, she didn't try to intimidate us with, obviously her immense talent and, wisdom and years of doing this. And so, it was that was fun. So the owner of the Idiot Box, Jenny Stencil is her name. You can look her up, follow her if you want, or the Idiot Box. She's, my instructor. So it makes me feel a little better when I can do things that might get a chuckle out of her. And it definitely makes me listen more when she has advice. I mean, she's the expert. And so she's just not some hack. She's been there, done that, and knows what she's talking about. And so she can critique me all she wants. Like I want to learn. And this past week was by far the most fun that I'd had out of the 3 weeks. And I think I'm finally kind of feeling my groove and getting the whole improv thing. And like I said, we're learning one another. So we got 7 of us in the class. There's 3 guys and 4 ladies. There's one gentleman who is older than me. He is like a librarian and really a neat guy, but his style is he can go dark. I mean, there's definitely some dark comedy in him, and the stuff he brings out, you got to be ready now. Like it's not going to be unicorns and rainbows. It's going to be prepared. He's going to go to some dark, sadistic, comedic areas. And so you got him, great dude. There's another guy. He is a aspiring stand-up comedian. He's younger. I'm going to guess 30-ish. I don't know for sure. Might be in his 20s. Super nice guy. Really, really funny. Can do some cool voices and really gets into the improv, and he's taking improv to help him improve his stand-up routine and stand-up comedy career. So who knows? I mean, I could see this guy. They have a permanent stand-up troupe that you can apply to be in once you finish these 6 classes. And I could definitely see this guy being in that. I think he's good enough. There's another girl we found out this week. She's a firefighter. So she's a firewoman there, and she's the best out of all of us. I'm sure she just seems like she's had some type of theatrical training, whether she was in theater in high school or college. I mean, she is quick. Improv is for her. She's funny. She comes up with these great characters, great voices. She never, like, you don't ever surprise her. You know, like sometimes, something will happen and you kind of pause for a second because you're kind of thinking, well, gosh, how do I respond to this? Not her. I mean, it's like she already knows what you're going to say. She's so good. And I can definitely, I don't know if she wants to do it, but I could definitely see her being in that improv troupe. She's that good. Definitely. There's another girl. She works for an attorney. She's like a paralegal. She's neat. She's fun. She's younger. Again, I'm gonna guess late 20s if I had to guess. She wears some pretty wild outfits, which is fun that it kind of gets worked into the improv stuff each week. And then there's another girl, again, young, in her 20s. She has a podcast on Dungeons and Dragons that she does. She works a couple of jobs. She's fun. She gets what I would call tickled quite a bit at some of the things. And so you can't really nail a joke with her wanting to respond because she's going to laugh. And the point is you don't want to make each other laugh. You want to make the audience laugh. And so she's super nice. And I probably have paired up with her more than anybody just because of the way it works out. We don't choose each other, but it just seems like somehow I work with her the best. And speaking of, I actually got paired up with the stand-up comedian this past week, and him and I crushed it. It was the most fun interaction I've had in the 3 weeks. Like I felt like him and I got it, and we put together a pretty funny scene, just the 2 of us. And it made me feel good because afterwards we came off stage and he was real happy and gave me a fist bump. And I was like, all right, like, that's some street comedy cred there. And the last girl, she I don't know what she does for a living. She said that she is a aspiring actress and she's taking improv to help her acting. You can tell that she has some theater background. She's really good. I think she would be really good if she knows, like if you gave her a script, I think she is phenomenal. You can kind of see that. The coming up with something really quick though is a little bit of a struggle right now for her, I think. But I applaud her for trying. I think it will help her acting. But you can tell if she had something she just had to memorize, I think she would be a really good actress, and she gets into it. So, there's, like I said, 7 of us, 3 men, 4 ladies. I'm the second oldest there, but we're having a good time, as Dusty Slade would say. And we have 3 more now. We have starting this coming Wednesday, starts with 201. episode 1. So we'll do that for the next 3 weeks, and then we'll have our big show. So I'll keep you updated on that. Another update, CPAP. Some of you guys have asked, how is the CPAP journey going? Some assumed I just quit because I don't talk about it anymore. But I think I have it dialed in pretty close. I got rid of or at least I stopped using the over-the-nose CPAP device. I went with full mask, so it's nose and mouth. I'm breathing a lot better. I've tweaked kind of the airflow and humidity and things like that based on recommendations and stuff I was reading. And it seems to be working a lot better. When I did the test, I think I was at like 24 episodes an hour. So I guess 24 times an hour, I would stop breathing, which sounds like a lot, but I have friends that have told me they were like in the 60s. So I think mine's pretty good, but now I'm down to between 2 and 3 a night. So that's, a lot better. So, and I think it'll continue to get better the more I do it. So it's improving. So I haven't talked about it because I don't hate it as much as I did. It's still a bit cumbersome and trying to get used to it, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. Family news. We got some hot breaking news for our oldest son. He's always had a love for birds. And I don't, when he was young, little kid, he would just read bird books all the time. You couldn't get a bird book out of his hand. And I'm not talking like fiction. This is like nonfiction. He would read these like Audubon books and these, Bird Society of the World. Like if we went somewhere on a trip, he would want to get a bird book for that region of the country that we were in. He absolutely loved birds. And now anytime we see a bird, we don't know what it is, Beth will snap a picture and send it. And he's like, oh, well, that's a so-and-so. And, acts like we should know. So he is a biology major. He is a junior in college right now. And he's found out through just taking biology. And as you do, as you go through college, you kind of figure out what you like and don't like. He decided he thinks he really wants to do some type of field research with his biology degree. And those jobs are out there, but they are few and far between. And there's a lot of competition for those jobs. So he decided he was going to try for some internships this summer. And he applied at about 25 internships. Some were just total free. Like they're not going to pay you. They're not going to give you a place to live. If you want to come work for them, doing field research, whatever it was, then that's great. They would love to have you. And others were big. They were like, hey, we'll give you a place to live and we will pay you. Very prestigious type internships. So he applied at about 20, 25 internships, immediately got a response from one that was unpaid, unhoused, and was like, you're accepted. We'll take you. So Jake was like, all right, let me just see what else I can get. It was pretty much radio silence. There was one that was his absolute top choice. It was working with the Audubon Society of South Carolina. And they offered us, it was a paid position and they gave you housing. You'd be working near the coast of South Carolina, kind of down near Charleston. And you would be working with bird research, like going out and that's what the Audubon Society does. It's birds. And so that was his number one top choice. And the only other internship he heard from was that one. And they contacted him and told him that they'd like to interview him. He did the interview, and on the interview, they told him they had, however many, a couple hundred people apply, and they only accepted 12 for interviews. So he had made the top 12, and which he was, it's one of those, it's an honor just to be nominated. So that made him feel good that at least this place looked at him and felt like the top, he at least made the top 12. But the interview was over a month ago and he has not heard anything. The internship starts in May. So it starts in just a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to start. And I think he was kind of feeling like, well, if I haven't heard anything, it's probably bad news. So we encouraged him to go ahead and just call him or send him an email, just follow up. And so he sent them an email the other day, just following up. And they contacted him yesterday and told him they would like to offer him that position. So he got the internship. Good for him. They only gave out one, and that was his top choice. And so he is so excited. So this summer, Jacob will be moving down to South Carolina for a couple of months, working in the field of bird research. He'll be in forests and swamps and even the beach and going boating and things and getting birds and tagging birds and researching habitats and things like that. So he's so excited, really, really excited. So he'll be doing that. Our daughter got accepted to the Disney alumni program. So she's going to be heading back to Disney for the summer to work somewhere at one of the Disney resorts. She doesn't know which one or what job yet. She won't find out till probably closer to the end of April, but we'll let you know what she's doing and where she's at in case any of y'all are going to Disney this summer and y'all want to pop in and say hey to Maria. So it'll be different again this summer. We'll have both our adult kids gone, and it'll just be our high schooler, bless his heart. So he's going to get all of Beth's attention, and I really feel sorry for him. But so that's some family news. That's the CPAP news. That's the improv news. I had a conversation this past week. We are in the process of hiring a new worship leader at our church. And to kind of explain how our church works, Beth and I started a mission organization 11 and a half years ago. And that's what it was supposed to have been, was a mission organization. And we were going to lead trips all around the world, both domestically and internationally, for groups and churches. And we accidentally planted a church. That was not our intention. I was done with church. I had a not so great experience at my last church as far as the ending goes. I was just kind of sour on church ministry. And so I decided I was just going to just go to what I really love, which is missions. And so Beth and I started a mission organization called Project Re3, and that's RE to the third power there. And that comes from Isaiah 58:12. And in the chapter of Isaiah 58 in the Bible, the first 3, 4, 5 verses, I mean, God is just blasting the church for just being all about show, only coming to God when they need something. I mean, just what a typical church is, right? And then he goes in for the next several verses and talks about, this is what I want. This is what the church should be doing. And it's things like feeding the hungry, breaking the chains of injustice, clothing the naked, just doing all of these various things, like taking care of widows and orphans. And then he says in Isaiah 58:12, and we get this out of the Message version of the Bible, where we get our Re3. It says, you will restore, rebuild, and renovate, and make communities livable again. And we just felt like that's what we wanted to do. We were called, Beth and I, to restore, rebuild, and renovate. And so that's where the RE3 comes from, the Re3. And that's our tagline, Project Re3, restore, rebuild, renovate. And that's what we did. And like I said, we accidentally planted a church out of that. And it took 10 years for Re3 to get to the place that I had ultimately hoped it would be. And when we had our 10-year celebration anniversary service at November, whatever that was, a couple years ago, a year or two ago, I really felt in my heart when we drove away, God said, it is finished. Well done, good and faithful servants. Like, I felt like there was closure, like what had been done, what God wanted Beth and I to do, we did in that 10 years. And there were some great things that happened in that 10 years. And there was some hell that went on in that 10 years. And it was a struggle. And there were times we both felt like giving up and quitting. And then there was other times that were the highest of highs. And so, but we felt a lot of peace that day. Like we hung in there and we did what God asked us to do. So the next questions were, all right, so what's next? And what has happened since is I've taken on the role now of executive director of Project RE3. So I'm the head of the mission organization, the 501c3 nonprofit. And within Project RE3, we have three components. We have RE3 Church, which is led by our lead pastor, Tim Dixon, who was on the podcast way early. And Tim runs Sov IT, which is an IT security business he runs. And in his spare time, he pastors the RE3 Church. We have the RE3 Hope Center, which is a facility that we purchased during COVID. And what it is a facility, it's an old church that we bought that we've converted. It is a food pantry, clothing closet, and counseling center. And it's free for the entire community. So anybody that needs food can come get it. Anybody that needs clothing can come get it. Anybody that needs counseling can come get it. We have counselors that volunteer their time. So we have all kinds of counselors. And then this year, we're hoping to add the fourth and final component to the Hope Center, which is education. So we're in the process of getting ready to remodel another part of the building, which will be our educational center. And we'll do like ESL classes, English as a second language, or we'll do some computer classes or resume classes, maybe even some cooking classes, things that can help our guests and clients that come into the Hope Center. So we have that. And then the third and final part is our service-based mission trips. We've got this year, our youth are going on a trip to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where they'll be doing home repairs, teaming up with about 300 other youth from youth groups all across the country, and spending about a week there just doing home repairs for the elderly and needy in Eastern North Carolina. We have Roatan, which is a brand new trip that we're taking. We've never done before. We're doing that in August. Roatan is part of Honduras, this little island off the coast of Honduras. And then in the fall, October, we've penciled in, we're going back to Jamaica again. And we've been doing that for the past several years. So those are our three big trips this year, mission-wise. And so that's when people say, what is Project RE3? It's more than a church. It's more than just a Hope Center. It's more than just our mission trips. It's all three. And so that keeps us busy. So the church arm, we had our worship leader who's been there since day one, Daniel. Daniel has been with me since he was 18 years old. I met Daniel in 2004. The church I was at the time needed a drummer, and we hung up a little flyer in a local Christian bookstore asking, hey, does anybody play drums? Would you like to play in our band? And Daniel called us up and said, I can play drums. And he showed up as an 18-year-old kid, and he has been with me ever since. So Daniel has been with me for 21 years and has followed me around to whatever church I was at, has done everything musically that he could possibly do for us. And for the past many years, he's been the worship leader at the church. And he just kind of felt a calling to kind of do something else. Like his time was up. He's been part of the music ministry at my church for, like I said, over 20 years, but was just maybe the last year or so, just feeling like God was saying that season was done. And I think that's true. I think everything has a shelf life. And so I don't fault Daniel for feeling that way. And so Daniel wrapped up things the very 1st of January of this year. And we've been just kind of putting together a makeshift band ever since on Sunday mornings. And our volunteers have done a great job. We've been looking for somebody, and we're not quite ready to announce who it is, but we have hired someone, and we'll be making that announcement in the next couple of weeks. But we were meeting with them. When I say we, Tim and I were meeting with them this week, and they had lots of questions about leadership structure and, expectations as far as office hours and how many hours a week they should put in, and just a lot of logistical stuff like that. And I kept telling them over and over, I'm like, we don't have any. Like, it's, if you can get your job done in 5 hours a week, then do it in 5 hours. If it takes you 10 hours, it takes you 10 hours. We're paying them a salary. So it's like you determine how long it's going to take you to do something. And the person we're hiring is very high capacity. So I have no doubt this person can get more done in 4 hours than most people can get in 8. And they kept looking at me like they were, I used the word scared. And then Tim said, I don't think they're scared. I think they're suspicious. And they said, yes, that is the word. And they're like, well, I've never worked at a church like this. The churches that this person has worked at has, they expected office hours. Why does the worship leader need to keep office hours? If they need to meet with somebody, great, let's schedule it and make an appointment. But what's the use in having them just come sit in an office? Or there was an expectation for how many hours they had to be there doing their job. If they're there on Sundays and the music's what it should be and worship's what it should be, and they're, practicing during the week with the band, who can put hours on that? And anyway, they were just going in and it was like they could not believe that we would be so maybe loosey-goosey with things. But, I've been in those situations. I've worked at churches that were so regimented in, all right, Mike, you've got to work. You've got to be in the office so many hours a week. You've got to clock in so many hours a week. You've got to, you only get so much time. That was another thing. They were like, well, how many vacation days do I get a year? I was like, I don't care. You can take as many as you want. And they were like, what? And I was like, I kept telling them, I really don't care. As long as you're there on Sundays for the Sundays you're supposed to be there, and the Sundays you're not going to be there, you let us know and you have it filled. I really don't care. Take 6 weeks off for all I care. I really don't. I trust you that the job's going to get done. And that's the culture that we've built in this church. And you don't find that in other churches. And I kind of forget that at times. I've been so far removed. I'm 11 and a half years removed from the last time I was in a culture like that, where everybody in the church felt like they were my boss. And everybody in the church felt like they had different expectations for me. And this person is coming from a background, and I'm not saying where they're at now is like that, but they definitely have served at churches like that. And that's the problem. You get corporate execs, people who run businesses or are part of the business world outside of church, and that's all they know. And then all of a sudden, the church is like, well, so-and-so runs this business, or so-and-so is a vice president. We should have them on our church board, or an elder or deacon or leadership team, and let them make. And what happens is you end up running the church like a corporation. And that is just so unbiblical. And, I hate it. And, we do not do that at Re3. We don't ask what anybody's background is as far as your job. We put people on our leadership team. And we have a 10-person leadership team that works with myself and the rest of the staff at Re3, Project Re3, whether it's a church or the Hope Center or missions, that works with us to make sure that we're doing the things that we're supposed to be doing as an organization and as a ministry. And I don't care. I don't care what they do outside. Where's their heart? Is their heart, number one, for Jesus? Number two, have they bought into the vision of Project Re3? And number three, is it evident in their life? Do we see it? And so we don't ask people to serve on leadership if the only thing they can give us is, well, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, I'm the vice president of such and such company. Well, if you don't do anything else at our church, or I don't care, you're not going to be on leadership. And so the church has done an incredible disservice to itself by, I think, putting people in positions of power that can't separate the church from the corporate world. And you end up having churches run like corporations, and it becomes about numbers, and it comes about revenue and all the things that people hate about church. And I think these are probably good people, and they probably want what's best for the church, whatever church they're at. But all they know is the corporate mindset. That's all they know. And so they run it that way, and you can't. We get a lot done. We are a small church. Re3 Church is maybe 120 people on Sunday mornings. But man, we get a lot done. We get so much done as an organization. People, when Beth and I tell people about Project Re3, they assume we're a mega church. They are like, wow, you got like 1,000 people at your church? We're like, no, we have like 120. And they can't believe it. But it's because we've cut out all the red tape. We've cut out all the committees. We put people in position to succeed. When I felt like God wanted me to plant Re3 Church out of Project Re3, I was adamantly against it, and probably did everything in my power to make Re3 Church not work. You know, I didn't want it, and I planted a church many years ago. I did everything by the book. I went to every church planting seminar. I read every church planting book. I talked to dozens and dozens of church planners. I did everything by the book, and it almost killed me. And so I did not want to go through that again. And so this is truly the anti-church plant. And if it says in a church planting book, do it this way, we do the opposite. And it works. It works. And so I had the talk. Tim and I were meeting with our new worship leader this week, and just reminded again just how corporate the American church has gotten. And it's sad, because the American church has so much potential to help our country, and not just our country, but countries all around the world. And we look at numbers, we look at the bottom line, we treat employees at our churches like they're employees of a corporation, and they're just numbers, and that's not it at all. And I think that's why the burnout is so high in ministry, because people go into ministry wanting to minister. If they wanted to work at an office complex or for a corporation, they would have went and done that. But they go into ministry because they want to serve the Lord, and they want to work in a church, and they get in there and it just grinds them up and spits them out. So it was a good reminder for me this week that we are in a special place, I feel like, at Re3 Church. And we'll see. I don't know. The new worship leader, they looked like Tim said, very suspiciously, like they didn't believe that this world would exist. And I'm not trying to make it sound utopian and everything is great. We have issues at times, but those issues are quickly resolved. And so anyway, that was my church rant. I don't even know why I got on that rant, but it was something that happened this week, and I just felt like I just wanted to share kind of what was going on. Also want to share about our Hope Center. I am immensely proud of the work that our volunteers have done there. I do very little at the Hope Center, and I pop in when we're open, and much like Jenny, the owner of the Idiot Box, I don't tell people who I am. I just show up and help volunteer and see how things are going. And it's a community effort. It's not a Re3 Church effort. It is a community effort. Like, I would say 75% of the people that volunteer there, I have no idea who they are or where they came from. They see us, they hear about us, and they show up to help. And that's really cool. But we've been able to do a lot. We can run that place literally on a budget of about $40,000 a year, which is pretty remarkable. That's pennies compared to what we're able to offer. And we serve right now close to 12 to 1,400 people a month, and we're only open 4 hours a week. We're open Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings. And that's it. 2 hours each day, 4 hours a week, 16 hours a month. And we run between 12 and 1,400 different people that come through there for something, for food or for clothing or for counseling. And that number is only going to go up when we start offering the educational classes. And it's all off of donations. People donate the food or they donate the clothing. We are a Second Harvest food bank location. We just remodeled our food pantry there. And when the Second Harvest food bank inspector came by to look at everything, to sign off on it, it was really nice. He said, this is now the premier food pantry in our area. And he was like, it's the nicest one I've ever seen. And that felt really good. I mean, we've worked really hard and we've had so many people and so many companies donate to the cause. And not everyone's going to agree with your church. Not everyone's going to agree with the way you do church or your style of worship or anything like that. Not everybody's going to agree with all that stuff. But it's hard to find somebody that doesn't agree that basic human needs need to be met. Food, clothing, mental and emotional health. And that's what we offer. For free. Again, we don't charge anybody anything. So people donate and we just turn around and put it right back into the community. And like I said, it takes us about $40,000 a year to run the Hope Center. And I'm really, really proud of the work that those folks are doing there. Sam and Mark are our director and assistant director. We've got Brooke and Sharon, who's our food coordinator and our clothing coordinator. Tammy is our counseling coordinator, and they just rock it. And if it was all on me, it would not be anywhere as close to where it is today. And so I applaud them, and I love the work they're doing. Last thing, and then I'll wrap it up. This is a ministry story that I want to share with you guys because it's an event that we have coming up real soon. Next month, we have an event coming up called ReCon. And ReCon is a 3-day board game convention. It's all day, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of Memorial Day weekend. We don't have church that Sunday morning as far as worship goes, but we have church all weekend. We open our doors. We have a board game convention. And this all started, this is our 10th one. Now, there was a couple years we did 2, and then I think in 2020, we did not do one because of COVID. So we hadn't been doing them for 10 years, but I think 2017 may have been the first one we did. We had a guy at our church, Roy Canada, and Roy played bass in our band and was a huge board gamer, had his own YouTube channel, and just loved board games. We had another guy in our church, Luke Dixon. Luke was a big board gamer, and the three of us would get together sometimes and play board games. I love board games, not to the depth that they love and know board games, but I do love board games. And so Roy had the idea. He's like, we should do a board game day at church. I'll bring over a bunch of games and we'll just do it one Saturday and people can show up and we can teach them how to play some of these more modern board games. Or I'm not talking Monopoly or Life or Chutes and Ladders. I mean, these are, games. I guess some popular modern board games is like Settlers of Catan or Ticket to Ride, things like that. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we set aside a Saturday to do a board game day, invited the church. Some people from outside the church heard about it. Roy was like, hey, do you care if we invite some folks from the community? I'm like, no, let's just, as many as we can get. That's fine. And we thought if we had 30 people, we were going to be excited, for like a board game day, just people sitting around playing board games. And we ended up with, I think around 70 people showed up that day. And it was so much fun. And we went from like 9 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. and at our church in our fellowship hall. And like I said, had about 60 or 70 people show up. And afterwards they were all like, man, when are we doing this again? So Roy was like, let's do it again. Let's it'd be cool if we made it a convention. And so we came up with the name ReCon, con being obviously short for convention, being a play on Project Re3. So ReCon was born after that first ReCon, and we started doing stuff. We tried doing one in the winter, one in the fall or spring and fall. We tried doing, went from a 1-day event to a 2-day event, and ultimately where we landed was Memorial Day weekend. So we just do one a year. We do it Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then a few years ago, it got to where, and it was free at the time. We had food, and we sold food, and we did raffles. And Luke is like, man, he is like the network king. He started contacting every board game publisher in the world, literally, and telling them about ReCon. All the proceeds of ReCon go out. It goes into missions, and started asking them if they wanted to donate anything. And it started slow. First couple of ReCons, we'd get 5 games donated, then 10 games, then 20 games. And it just kept growing and growing. And so we would put those games out as raffle prizes, or we'd put them out as something we call play to wins, where if you just play them, you write your name down in a book saying you've played it. And then at the end of the day, everyone who played that game, we do a drawing and somebody wins that game for free. But it got to where the church was packed. We had no more room. Every seat was taken. Every parking space was taken. We were having to turn people away. So we ultimately started selling tickets. And now we average about 300 people over the course of ReCon weekend every year. They're buying tickets, they're showing up. Most of them come all 3 days. Some of them might just come 1 day, but they come and they play board games. We've had people drive their RVs in and park in our parking lot and stay in their RVs for the whole weekend. We have people that come, we're in North Carolina. We have people that come from Virginia, Tennessee, South Carolina. They come up and get a hotel room for the weekend and make it a whole weekend thing. And they love ReCon. And to date, we have in our 9 previous ReCons, we've raised about $20,000 for missions. And so it's been exciting. We now get board game publishers that reach out to us, not the other way around. Luke came home the other day, and in front of his garage, he had no idea it was coming. A board game publisher, sent us some games. And when Luke sent me the picture, there was probably 20 boxes of games. And when he broke them all open and priced them, it was close to $12,000 worth of board games that this company gave us to give away at ReCon. That's just one company. And we have so much stuff left over from other ReCons. We could do a whole ReCon and never ask for a donation. We have these companies give us money for things. We have conventions that will send us free passes to give away. It's been really cool. And we're able to advertise ourselves as the largest charitable board game convention in North Carolina. The largest charitable board game convention in North Carolina meets at Project Re3 Church. And it's Memorial Day every weekend. And so that's coming up. And I like to tell that story because I think a lot of Christians have unique interest. And they're like, I don't know how this interest could ever benefit the kingdom. Well, who would have ever thought board games could be used for the kingdom? But it was, because somebody that was a believer had a love for board games and decided one day, I'm going to put my love for the church and Jesus, I'm going to combine that with my love of board games, and let's see what happens. And ReCon was born. We have people now that attend our church weekly that started coming because they came to our ReCon event. Like I said, we've raised $20,000 and given it away to missions over the 9 previous ReCons. We have another cool story is we were posting about ReCon a year or 2 ago, and on the message boards on Facebook, somebody had commented like, hey, that sounds really cool. Where exactly is it at again? And before I or anybody affiliated with Project Re3 could comment, someone else commented and said, oh yeah, man, it's at Re3 Church in Kernersville, and gave the address. And the original poster wrote, forget it. They were like, I ain't going to no church board game event. And they were like, I don't do church. And then this person, again, no affiliation with Project Re3 or Re3 Church, came back and said, nah, man, you don't get it. This church is amazingly cool. Like, everybody there is so nice. Like, it's not what you think. And so I love that there's people out there defending our church and defending our Christian-run board game event. And they don't even come to our church. They come, they have a great time, they're loved on, they're respected, they're treated well, they're welcomed, and then they go and they defend us to others that might be skeptical. So if you like board games, if you're in the area, tickets are going on sale, I believe today. I think maybe the day that this podcast comes out, tickets will go on sale. They're uber cheap. It's like $10 a day or $20 for the whole weekend. And so, for $20, you get 3 days worth of board gaming. And we literally give away thousands of dollars worth of board games. And there's door prizes. And I mean, it's just amazing. The food is cheap. I mean, you can come and you can spend $20, come for 3 days, and probably you're going to walk away with something and well get your money's worth. And so it's a lot of fun. Families come, they bring their kids, singles come, couples come. We're going to have a list of games that are going to be taught. So if you're like, man, I don't know what to play, sign up on the schedule to learn one of these new games. I'm going to be leading some, teaching some, and everything else. So yeah, I tell the ReCon story because that's Re3. We just want to do things unconventionally. We want to try to figure out what is your passion and how can that passion be used for the kingdom. And I'm really, really proud of what God's done at Project Re3. And I just wanted to kind of take today and share that, kind of who we are, where we've come from. And because we make reference to Project Re3, Beth and I do, on the podcast, but we've never really spoke about who we are, what we do. And so I wanted to take today and do that. But if you've stuck around this long, thank you. Beth will be back next week. I promise she'll be back next week. So it will be a lot more entertaining and fun. But she couldn't be here this week. So I thought, this would be a good week just to solo it and give a little history into something that's very special to Beth and I, which is Project Re3. And we'll put the link to all of our stuff there on the podcast stuff, and you can check it out if you want. But thanks again for always supporting the podcast. We just love hearing from folks and the friends we're making and have made through the podcast, and discussions we get to have offline about it. So keep them coming. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.